From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the February edition of Wavelength. Well, the LCRA Board of Directors met for the first time in the new year with brand new elected officers in place. George Kaysen of Eagle Lake is the new board chair. Mike Luxinger of Burnett is vice chair, and Io Coleman of Wharton County is board secretary. George Kaysen, who manages his family farm in Colorado County, says that as he prepared for his first meeting as board chair, things didn't exactly go as planned.
In about 5 minutes till 8, I saw I was supposed to be in the Colorado room at 8. Rushed out of the hotel room, met Jack Martin in the lobby of the hotel. That took a little bit of time. Got in my old truck and tried to get out here. It wouldn't pass any traffic. I looked down, I had it in first gear. I think we can have a successful year only with your help, and when I say your help, I'm not talking about just board members, I'm not talking about just CEOs, I'm talking about our frontline workers just as well.
If you owned your own business or manufacturing operation, you'd need to know what it costs to produce your product before you could decide what to charge for it. Well, it's no different at LCRA. But finding the specific cost of services or products has not been easy in the past. That's why this year there's a new way of looking at the work we do and a new budget tool to help track the cost of that work. It's called activity management. Simply put, activity management will allow us to know the real cost of the things we do. And in today's competitive environment, the LCRA must have a better handle on what it costs to run our business and its various projects and activities.
Activity management is going to allow us to identify what we are doing, for who, who's doing it, how well are we doing it, how good is the quality of the product or service that we're providing. And activity management is really the tool that's going to allow us to answer all of those questions, that some of which we've been able to answer before, but definitely not all of them.
One of the benefits of activity management is that a lot more...
These activity managers will oversee budget preparations for their particular areas of the company. And they will make sure their activities meet the overall business goals of the company for their particular product or service. These training sessions will help them plan their budgets using activity management. Activity management will allow us to track all of the work done from any area of the company which contributes to a final product or service, say generating electricity, which would be a product of GenCo. Someone in corporate accounting creates a financial statement for the Sim-Gideon plant. Someone in environmental services performs air quality testing at the Ferguson plant. And a crew from surveying and mapping does a survey for a new rail spur at FPP. All of these activities flow up to the main activity of GenCo.
As part of activity management, we'll capture all those costs that roll into the total cost of generated electricity and be able to look at that in the future in a holistic way. There will be sub-activities under the big activity generated electricity, which will allow you to really cut and dice at many different levels of detail, so you can really determine how much each activity costs under generated electricity, as well as the big activity itself.
One way to look at activity management is paying for services rendered, whether that service comes from inside or outside of the LCRA. It's part of the cost of that particular activity. So whether it's keeping the river clean, operating parks, or maintaining transmission lines, activity management will show the real cost and value of that product or service.
Well, howdy. You just heard about activity management. You know, first time I heard about that stuff, my immediate thought was, here we go again. Somebody done been to a seminar. I mean, don't them folks in Austin have anything better to do than to jack with a system that's been working great for 60 years? I mean, we don't have time for this stuff. We got a business to run. You know, and speaking of running the business, I get so sick and tired of hearing people say that we don't know what it costs to produce electricity. Well, just the other day I was reading in the paper how we're one of the lowest cost producers of electricity in the state, maybe even the nation. I don't see why we just don't hire that reporter dude, let him keep track of what it costs. That'd free up everybody else just to produce the stuff. But you know, when you really get to thinking about it, you know, the people that's come up with this are pretty smart. I'm beginning to think they might have been down here looking over our shoulder just a little bit, because that's the way we've been doing our business for years. We've always tracked our cost by activity. Of course, we maybe didn't know what to call it, but it works great, man. Gives me all the information we need to do the budget and to keep the time, and even provides me with the information where I can make these high-level executive decisions. Speaking of high-level executive decisions, I got a couple more I'd like to make before I get whistle bit. So this is old Supreme Commander saying, you know, it's a lot more fun to come to a conclusion than it is trying to justify it. We'll catch you next time.
On January 26th, the LCRA officially opened the doors to the new Riverside Conference Center in Bastrop. Sitting on 11 acres, the site has numerous historical landmarks, including the Crocheron House, which was built in 1855. The center's meeting room can accommodate up to 160 people, with overnight accommodations for 30 people. And although the LCRA will use the center for training, all of the LCRA's customers, as well as community and civic groups, will have access to it as well.
But I had in mind doing something special here, and that is creating a place where folks in this part of Central Texas that have a place to gather, to have a place to meet, not have to go to Austin, Texas, not have to go to some other folks' place, something that felt like the part of the world that we're all privileged to live in. So it's not an accident that it's here. Already, since the day we've opened the doors here, we've had as many folks from outside the LCRA and outside the LCRA customer family using this facility as we have used it, as we use it. And that's exactly what we want to have happen.
Board Chair George Kaysen added that he hoped the center would help people strengthen their relationships and set aside any differences they might have.
We hope that this Riverside Conference Center will be a place where all of those things can happen. A place where understanding is born and peace is made between rivals.
The Riverside Conference Center lies in the heart of State Representative Robert Saunders' district. He says it is symbolic of the tremendous effort that the LCRA has placed on improving their relationships with the communities it serves.
But I'll say your presence in my district is fantastic. It's hard to believe that they set up a public information office in LaGrange. They've built a facility such as this in Bastrop, built river parks all down the river. You know, we didn't have that before. You know, all of that happened since maybe I started fussing.
Pretty direct correlation.
The renovation project was headed by Mike Walker and Guy Dawes of the LCRA, who say the center is designed to be comfortable and functional. Reservations can be made by calling Deborah Sperry at the Riverside Conference Center in Bastrop. For the past 10 years, we've been doing stories here on Wavelength, trying to explain why things are the way they are. And one of the things we've realized is that when things happen, it's not because of something, it's because of someone. It's the people at the LCRA that do great things, that contribute their time and money to help people, to go out of their way to exceed a customer's expectations. But why is the LCRA like that? Well, 2 years ago, a team of employees set out to answer the question, and what they came back with resembled an encyclopedia.
We began to research those companies. We studied books, went to the library, searched the Nexus and Lexus, did our homework, and came out with quite a laundry list of values that the organization would need to adopt in order to be successful at carrying out these strategies. Well, ironically, at the end of that process, we took a look at it, and what we came up with were values that looked very much like the values of every other company across corporate America, but didn't really reflect our corporate culture and what we were all about. So we went back to the drawing board.
So after eating a little crow, the group tried again, and this time they came up with this, the LCRA value statement, a clear, concise message about what it means to be an employee of the LCRA.
So we went all the way from Buckhannon Dam down to Bay City and Eagle Lake, and we asked employees all along the river, all up and down the highway at 71, why they stayed at LCRA, what made it a great place to work. And what we found out was very simple. There were value statements that they came up with that were very simply put, but they were consistent. No matter where we went, we heard the same message from employees. The same things kept coming up, the same themes kept coming up. So the people who had the answer were the employees that actually work here.
It says, as an employee of the LCRA, I believe in the mission of the LCRA, and that is why I choose to work here. I care about the folks I work with, and they care about me. I believe serving our communities improves the quality of my life and my neighbor's life. As team members, we believe that 1 + 1 = 4. We take pride in what we do and how we do it, and we believe in doing the right thing. So whether you call it the LCRA culture or a value system or just our way of doing things, the fact is, this is still one company with lots of interesting and dedicated employees. So beginning next month, we're going to bring you stories about these special employees and the values they employ. The segment will be called The LCRA Way. If you have any suggestions of employees that you think represent the LCRA in a special kind of way, give us a call or send an email. Love to hear from you.
The LCRA has 44 customers that we provide wholesale electricity to. Now that includes 11 electric cooperatives and 33 cities. Now one of those cities that LCRA serves is just a short drive up I-35 from Austin and is the home of Southwestern University. This month on Customer Corner, we take you to the city of Georgetown. Georgetown was founded in 1848 and named for George Washington Glasscock, who donated the land for the new county seat. Buildings on the historic square went through a major renovation in the 1980s, preserving the beautiful Victorian architecture of the last century. Today, Georgetown and Williamson County are one of the fastest growing areas in the state. Many new businesses and manufacturing operations have moved to the area. The city has been planning for and actively recruiting this new business. They created the Georgetown Industrial Foundation and worked in partnership with organizations outside of the city.
It's important to have a good, secure supplier of electricity, and it's where they are coming from areas that have had increase after increase in the cost, where we're able to show them that LCRA has said it will not be any rate increases till into the next century. Well, that makes a big difference.
January 23rd.
City Manager Bob Hart came to Georgetown in 1989 with two main goals: to help diversify the local economy and to strengthen the reliability and responsiveness of the city-owned utilities. He says the LCRA has been a valuable ally in this process.
We rely obviously on LCRA for a number of areas related to the electric business, but we find them very supportive. So it's a good, healthy relationship. Through the involvement with AWC, there's a lot of information sharing that comes back. That helps us to do more strategic planning. So a lot of the initiatives that we have, things that we're trying to do to improve quality of customer service, our responsiveness to electric customers or water customers. LCRA is very supportive, providing some technical support, providing some strategic comments and guidance. and feedback that's very, very important for us in order to move forward to meet the needs of the future needs of the community.
In 1994, the Del Webb Corporation started construction of Sun City, Georgetown. This planned retirement community will have over 9,600 homes when complete. Providing initial utility service to Sun City has been quite a challenge for Georgetown. The city's electrical department has already run some 13 miles of underground cable in Sun City.
With that amount of underground facility that's coming into this subdivision, changes the role of a lineman and the crewmen that work for the department in a major way. All of a sudden, they're going from where we are predominantly an overhead distribution system to underground. And because this system out here is basically building a community the size of Georgetown from the ground up with 100% underground construction. So it is a major shift in the way we've done business from the past.
In the future, the responsibility of providing electric service to Sun City will be shared by Georgetown and the Pedernales Electric Co-op. Officials from Del Webb and the City of Georgetown worked together from the beginning to make sure that Sun City would be an energy-efficient community.
We had in a development agreement early on that the homes would all be an energy-efficient home and under the Good Sense banner. And we've got 13 models that are completed, that have qualified, and the houses that I'm inspecting right now in phase 1 are all going to be Good Sense homes.
With all this growth, city officials still want to retain the unique character and identity which makes Georgetown a special place to live.
It's a good place to raise a family. A lot of young people here, a lot of kids involved. We have enormous volunteer ranks. We have every range of activity for children. The schools are good, the churches are strong, and there's a good network of support within the community.
In the upper stretch of the Colorado River, the exceedingly high levels of chloride salts have a dramatic impact on everything from home appliances to agriculture. Although environmental scientists say that some of the salt in the river is from natural sources, there are growing concerns that part of the problem may be caused by abandoned oil and gas wells. Literally, thousands of drilling sites blanket West Texas, and while many of them are clearly visible, thousands of others lie hidden beneath the expansive plains. Now, scientists from throughout the region are trying to find the wells to see if they might be contributing to the increase in salt deposits in the Colorado River.
You can see on this map that there are oil fields throughout this area, and we're thinking that salt that might be escaping from those oil fields is getting into the streams and running down the streams toward the Colorado River here in Ballinger.
LCRA environmentalists have teamed up with the Colorado River Municipal Water District and the Texas Railroad Commission to scan 35 square miles of Runnels County to try to locate sources of leaking salt deposits.
What you're seeing here is a typical oil water reservoir and oil water separator system that takes the mixture of oil and water produced from deep underground, separates the oil from the salt water, and sends the salt water back to an injection well where it is pumped back down into the formation. For every 6.5 barrels of water produced, they only get 1 barrel of oil. So there's a lot of salt water to be handled in a system like this. The oil industry today is well regulated by the Railroad Commission, but it's past practices that we're most concerned with. Those exploration boreholes, oil wells, and injection wells that were improperly drilled, improperly cased, improperly plugged.
For the farmers and ranchers out here in West Texas, they see the issue both ways. On one hand, it was the oil and gas industry that saved them from economic ruin back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But on the other hand, there's only one thing worth more than oil and gas, and that's clean water. And now they're hoping the mistakes of the past can be cleaned up.
Gee, water around here is like gold, really.
Patricia Vansell and her husband Joe have lived on this ranch for more than 25 years. Although they've learned to live with a high chloride salt level, they are hopeful that these scientists might find a partial solution. To help them find any leaking wells, scientists are using a specially outfitted helicopter to scan the landscape.
The helicopter and the helicopter survey are covering this 35 square mile area out here in Reynolds County. And they're doing 2 surveys at that time. There's an electromagnetic survey that is designed to show changes in ground conductivity. That in turn tells us something about the quality of the water. The other part of the survey is a magnetometer survey, and there what we're looking for is subtle variations in the magnetic field that might be caused by metallic objects such as well casings, other things like that.
As the probe crisscrossed the plains, ground crews visited more than a dozen locations to collect water samples, which will be sent to the LCRA laboratory for analysis. The data will then be matched with the information gathered from the helicopter, and from there the scientists should be able to tell if and where there are leaking wells.
This is something that is very important to the CRMWD because we have a reservoir downstream that is the primary source of water for the upper basin, and we're going to make every effort that we can to try to keep that water as clean as possible.
Well, the first thing that we'll do with this information is try to locate wells that are actively leaking now. We can turn that information directly over to the Railroad Commission, and from their district offices, they'll come to those leases and ask the operators to perform cleanup operations or to plug those active wells.
The LCRA has been monitoring the Colorado River for chloride salts for many years, and for good reason. In much the same way that chloride salt can destroy a washing machine, they can also cause serious damage to a power plant. In 1990, the Ferguson plant installed equipment to remove the salt deposits from the intake lines leading from the Colorado. Overall, the chloride salt levels in the Highland Lakes are acceptable today, but they have been creeping up over the past few years. The LCRA, along with the Colorado River Municipal Water District, are hoping that this new effort will finally solve part of the problem.
After years of sitting idle, old number 786 is once again rolling down the steel rails, hauling passengers through the beautiful Texas Hill Country. The Austin Steam Train Association restored the locomotive and started making weekend runs from Cedar Park to Burnett back in 1992. Since that time, the train has delivered more than 85,000 passengers to downtown Burnett, which has been a real boost for the local economy.
Well, it brings people into Burnett who might never have a reason to come here. Brings people in, gives them an opportunity to spend some money at the local restaurants, at the local businesses, as well as a real opportunity to see a very historic downtown area.
We appreciate the Austin Steam Train, and it's coming to Burnett every weekend. We enjoy the camaraderie with the people, and we enjoy your business. So.
Just before Christmas, the LCRA held a rally and drawing at the Burnett Depot for arriving passengers and made a special presentation to the Steam Train Association.
Part of the charter of the LCRA is also economic development. And of course, when you talk about economic development and the Hill Country, when you're talking about tourism, we are quite thankful in this area for all the things that they have done for us. And the authority would like to help the Steam Train Association keep coming to Burnett, and so we have a donation to make here today.
The check for $27,000 will be used to build 2 small water treatment facilities in Burnett and Cedar Park. The treated water will be free of minerals which can clog up the locomotive's boiler. This will lower maintenance costs for the train and extend the life of the engine.
We know Burnett appreciates us bringing 400 people up here every Saturday and Sunday with money in their pocket, and we really appreciate all the things that Burnett has done to make our passengers happy.
Sargent says it's been a tremendous experience bringing this mighty locomotive back to life.
They're like a living, breathing creature, and it's really just an incredible dream for all of us to have brought this engine back to life and to be able to run these trains and give people an experience of what steam railroading was like more than half a century ago.
Restaurant and shop owners on the square in Burnett seem to be very happy with the steam train's cargo also.
Well, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. Thanks a lot for watching, even if it was mandatory. By the way, we've changed our schedule here at Wavelength, and from now on, you'll be getting your copy of the show on the first Monday of the month. So we'll see you next month here on Wavelength.